Hello everyone, I'm back. This is Dr. Pratpal Singh Teja. I am an MBBS from Assam Medical College, Dibrugarh, and I've done my MD in pharmacology from CMC Ludhiana. And I have been involved in academics for more than now around 15, 16 years. And today I intend to discuss briefly about drug development process. Now, this is a burning topic. A lot of things have been said and are in the media, in our audiovisual media, which I don't think I need to highlight them. But there has been, but there has been a lot of interest in how the drug development process takes place in the present context. So today I'll be talking about drug development process. Very briefly, I would like to cover this up so that I can give you some insight into how this particular phenomena takes place and what exactly is the time period required and what are the patent rights and how long is the life of a drug. We'll be talking about some of these aspects today. So I'll start with drug development process. Now, when we say drug development process, let's say what happens if we want to launch a new drug into the market. So, whenever we want to launch a new drug into the market, there are two steps. The first thing is you need to have animal experiments done, and then you need to have human experiments on certain healthy individuals to obtain certain amount of data so that you can apply for approval. So that is what we'll be talking about. Now, this particular drug development, it starts with the 3D design of the drug, maybe having some structure activity relationship design parameters that are discussed or that are taken up in the computer software. A particular drug is designed and it is hypothesized that this particular drug might be effective in a particular disease. So in that situation, the first thing that we need to know is the preclinical data. That means before this particular drug can be tested on human beings, it has to be tested on animals. Now, there are two phases of animal studies that go on. One is the acute studies and then there are the chronic studies. In the short-term studies or the acute studies, what we want to do is we want to study the animal experiments for the acute toxicity of the drug, for the organ damage if it causes, its dose dependence, metabolism, kinetics, carcinogenicity, mutagenicity, and teratogenicity. Once we have sufficient data that this particular drug is safe in animals, then we go for phase 1 trial, which involves a healthy volunteers. There are maybe 20 to 50 healthy volunteers just to gather any preliminary data on how this particular drug is behaving in human beings. And the dose at which this particular drug is started is 1/10 the dose of the animal studies. So it involves 20 to 50 healthy volunteers, and this is mainly used to gather all the preliminary data about the safety of the drug, about its effect on various body functions. Once this is done, then we go for phase 2 study where a higher number of individuals are involved, somewhere around 150 subjects, and the purpose out here is to determine the safety and dosage recommendation. So this is followed by phase 3 where more than 4,000 patients are involved and we want to determine the short-term safety and efficacy. So once we have the data of animal studies, data of phase 1 study, phase 2 study, phase 3 study, then this particular drug goes for process of registration where this particular drug is approved by health regularity agencies, health regulators that are there, like FDA and FDA in US and DCGI in India. And once this particular drug is registered, then it is available to be sold to or for use for human beings. So this is where the phase 4 study starts in, where we want to determine the specific safety issue of this particular drug, and we tend to rely on spontaneous registration. So now I'll be talking about all these steps one by one so that you have some brief insight into how uh, drug development process takes place. So the first step that I told you was the preclinical safety and toxicity testing. So after the initial screening and profiling, we tend to have highlight the potential risk. We tend to go for a complete array of toxicity studies, and then the goal of this particular preclinical safety and toxicity studies is to identify if at all this particular drug would be toxic to human beings, and if there is any other further toxicity which is such as carcinogenicity, teratogenicity, or mutagenicity, and if there is any specific relevant toxicity that needs to be monitored. So the major information that we gather is from acute toxicity studies, subacute and chronic toxicity studies, reproductive studies, and so on. So acute toxicity study is done when we go for a large single lethal dose. We determine the dose on which this particular drug would be lethal. And in the subacute and chronic study, the toxicity study, we could go for multiple doses to determine the pharmacokinetic parameters as well as the behavior of this particular drug inside the human body. Then side by side we have studies that are done to assess the reproductive functions so as to rule out any teratogenicity and postnatal development, as well as we also tend to study the carcinogenicity, the mutagenicity, and the investigative toxicology as per our preliminary sheet that we have. As per the preliminary data, once we design this particular drug, a 3D structure of this particular drug is determined, some amount of toxicity could be predicted. So this is the investigative toxicology. Carcinogenicity is to study the relation with uh, carcinogenic potential of this drug, and mutagenicity is to know whether this particular drug could lead to any mutagenic behavior in the animals. All these studies are done in animals. So now this is where how this particular animal studies are conducted. So the first thing that we do is the acute toxicity study, where we find that this particular drug uh, is lethal in approximately 50%, and what is the maximum tolerated dosage we tend to do on two species of animals. We tend to go for two routes and a single dose. What do we want? We want to have a therapeutic dose out here. In the subacute toxicity studies, we tend to go for three doses. We have two species, and the time duration is 4 weeks to 3 months, which is longer. Now, in this particular subacute toxicity studies, we tend to go for clinical chemistry, science, autopsy study, histology, uh, electron microscopic finding, and target organ damage. Along with this, we also undergo chronic studies which are conducted in rodents and non-rodent. Rodents are the small animals such as mice and rats, and we also tend to conduct this study on non-rodent animals, and this takes around roughly more than 6 months when we want to give this particular drug for long use. Now, in this, mind you, there is one more thing that we have. This particular, along with this, we go for the concurrent clinical trial. Clinical trial is when this particular study is where human beings are also involved. This is followed. The basic purpose of this is to know the organ susceptibility to drug toxicity, and we have three doses, and we also have a control to compare it. Teratogenicity, we want to compare the mating behavior, any change in reproductive pattern, any change in partition, progeny, birth defect, or maybe any change in postnatal development. So what do we want to derive from it? How this particular drug would behave, how whether this particular drug would affect the fertility, whether this particular drug would have a teratogenic effect as seen with few drugs that are already now known in the history, and what are its perinatal and postnatal effects. Along with it, we also tend to determine the effect on lactation. We have carcinogenicity study. This is done for 2 years on two species, and the drug when the drugs are intended for prolonged use, what do we do? We tend to go for hematology. We tend to look out the autopsy study as well as histology. Mutagenicity, we want to see the genetic stability. We want to see mutation in the bacteria or mammalian cells. We have dominant lethal test and clastogenicity, where we use transgenic mice or knockout mice. Now there is increasing interest in this particular area because we tend to breed in a particular set of mice, and we also follow the investigative toxicology, where we tend to know the sequence and mechanism of toxic action. We tend to discover gene and pathway and any new method of development. Why do we want it? We want it for a rational and safe use of this particular drug. So these are the various toxicity preclinical studies that are done on animals before a particular drug is marketed. So after we have the preliminary data for acute toxicity and subacute toxicity, we go for the other four parameters: chronic toxicity, teratogenicity, carcinogenicity, mutagenicity, and investigative toxicology, which tend to go along with various phases of clinical trial. So this is how we tend to have a new drug development process. So normally when we say whenever we register a new drug, it has a patent of 20 years. Now this patent includes the preclinical testing as well as the clinical testing and the review followed by post-marketing surveillance. Then this drug is available for action. So this is the parameter that is normally followed by FDA, and we tend to follow this. So for the preclinical testing, that takes roughly 1 to 5 years of duration, on an average around 2.5 years. So we go for in vitro studies and we go for animal testing, which are mainly short-term studies. Long-term studies go along hand in hand with the clinical trial. So the short-term studies determine that this drug can be used. So we once this particular preclinical testing is done on an average of 2.5 years, this particular all the data is compiled and is sent to FDA. Now this FDA, it takes roughly 1 month for reviewing this data, that is a safety review. And once you get the permission from Food and Drug Administration, then this particular NCE, that is the new chemical entity, is available for action on human beings for trial, for clinical trials. So for clinical trials, you go for phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So this phase 1 could be it could be prolonged depending upon the usage of that particular drug, and similarly phase 3 could further be prolonged. Once we get the initial results, it could be further prolonged depending how what is the situation, what is the indication where this particular drug is used. So normally the phase 1 studies are done on healthy volunteers, or maybe special population such as patients with renal or kidney hepatic impairment. And what do we want to? We want to go for safety assessments. We want to go for whether what is the safety evaluation of this particular data, what are the biological effects, what is the metabolism, the kinetics, and the drug interactions that are known. So this phase 1 trial is done around on 20 to 50 healthy volunteers, and they are admitted to the specific units for which are designed. We have a specific design unit which are conducting phase 1 clinical trials. Followed by phase 1 clinical trials, the next is the phase 2 clinical trial, where we will tend to monitor the safety as well as efficacy. We select patients. Out here, it was healthy volunteers. Out here, we are selecting patients. And what we want to assess, we want to know the therapeutic efficacy, the dose range, the kinetics, and the metabolism. Once this phase 2 is completed, we go for phase 3 studies, where it is like a real life situation where a large sample size is selected and we evaluate the safety and efficacy of the drug. So out here, this is the human trial that is going on. Side by side, we also have the animal studies that are going on, the long-term studies, the chronic toxicity study, the reproductive study, the teratogenic study, and the carcinogenic study. So when all this data is compiled, this particular clinical testing along with chronic animal studies takes an approximate 2 to 10 years. If it is expedited, an average it would take 5.5 years for this particular phases to be over. Then this is submitted to the FDA for NDA review. Now what is this NDA? NDA is New Drug Application. So this NDA review, on an average, it takes around 12 months, and then the FDA approves this particular drug. Once this drug is approved, now it is available for post-marketing surveillance. That means now a large amount of millions of patients would be taking this particular drug, and every 6 months the company has to report the amount of data, amount of side effects generated. Every 6 months they have to report for the initial 2 years, and then every year for the next 2 years, and this particular process goes on. Now if you look into this, I told you that the patent is of 20 years. So this particular phase, whether we expedite it, it takes around 6 to 8 years or maybe even 10 years. So the pharmaceutical company has roughly 10 exclusive right of 10 years for marketing of this particular drug. That is what is important. And if in this particular situation, any other company tends to tends to use this particular drug, it will have to give royalty to the parent company. Now, once we start with the evaluation in humans, there are a few things that we need to be very clear about. That is, of all the molecules, only less than 1/3 of these drugs reach the clinical trial phase. All the other phases are gone. All the other drugs, 2/3 of the drugs, they do not even reach the clinical trial phase. So that involves a huge amount of cost. And if we go according to the federal law, it requires that the study of new drug in humans be conducted in accordance with stringent guidelines. These guidelines are set by FDA and they are available from time to time. If there's any update, that is also available. Now, this particular evaluation is a combined effort of clinicians, scientists, clinical pharmacologists, statisticians, and other professionals. And we have to design and execute this based upon many confounding factors that tend to come when we go for clinical trials. Now, this clinical trial, we have two terms out here. One is IND, the other one is NDA. IND is an investigational new drug, and NDA is new drug application. So for this new drug application, you have to follow a series of events. Then there are certain notices of claimed investigational exemptions for the investigational new drug. What is its composition and source? What is its manufacturing information? What are the animal studies? What are the plans and protocols? Name and credential of the PI. So all this is required for the investigational new drug or the new chemical entity. These things are required for conduct or to start human studies. Phase 1 study अगर conduct होगी तो phase 1 study has to be conducted once we have this particular data. So human studies are only done after acute and subacute toxicities have been completed. Chronic studies and specific toxic studies go on as per the criteria. Now, it is always volunteers are invited to participate in the clinical trial, and these volunteers must give an informed and voluntary consent. So they should be informed appropriately and properly. And this is guided by various guidelines that keep on updating, and this is as per Declaration of Helsinki, good clinical practices, ICH GCP guidelines, and approval has to be sought from the Food and Drug Administration as well as the Institutional Review Board before this particular study can be conducted on human beings. Now, what is this phase 1 study? Phase 1 study is done in a small group of patients, a small subgroup of patients, somewhere around 10 to 50 patients, and this is to check the for dosage, and it is mainly done in healthy volunteers. And What we want to see is whether the responses that are seen in animals, do they tally accordingly in the humans, or human tend to have different responses. This particular phase 1 study helps us establish a probable limit of safe clinical dosage. It would detect the predictable toxicity as well as pharmacokinetic parameters. And this cannot be done by each and every one. Phase 1 is specifically done in a specialized units and by a specialized group of people. So these are done by those people who are trained in clinical pharmacology in research centers, not by all. So that is the specificity, or that is what phase 1 trial is all about. This is followed once we have phase 1. Now we tend to go for phase 2 study. Phase 2 studies, in the phase 1 we had involved healthy volunteers. In the phase 2 study, for the first time we involve patients with a particular target disease. And what do we want to do? We want to determine the efficacy of this particular drug. So out here we have a small number of patients again, but more than phase 1. So we have 100 to 200 patients and they are studied in great detail. The study is a single blind design where only the patient is not aware which particular drug is taken. This could be a placebo control where no active compound is given, or it could be a positive control where we compare it with a certain other group of drugs. Maybe we want to go for a non-inferiority trial. Again, phase 2 is also done in special clinical centers. Again, you need a specialist who are trained in clinical research. They can only do phase 2 clinical trials. And this particular group of study also tends to detect a broad range of toxicity. Once phase 2 is done, we come to phase 3. Now phase 3 is done on a larger number of patients, maybe somewhere around thousands of patients, and from tens to hundreds, and now we have thousands of patients. And what do we want to do? We want to further establish the safety and efficacy of this particular drug. So out here we tend to use a double blind and a crossover technique. Double blind is when both the principal investigator as well as the patient is not aware of the study drug, and crossover is giving one particular drug followed by a washout period and then giving the investigational drug to the same group of patients. Now this study is more closer to reality as compared to phase 1 and phase 2. So it is performed in a setting that is similar to those that is anticipated. Now this particular study design is very difficult because it is expensive and a higher number of individuals are involved. The principal investigator in this particular phase 3 trial would be a specialist for that particular disease. Maybe we are talking about maybe a particular drug that is there on skin diseases, we would like to have a dermatologist, or maybe a general physician, or maybe a pediatrician, or maybe some other person, depending upon the specialty on which we want to go ahead with. This once we have the data of phase 3 trials, then it is followed by submission of this particular report with FDA, and then it becomes a new drug application. Initially, it was an investigational new drug or a new chemical entity when we were checking about the animal data. Now, once we have sufficient amount of human data, then it becomes a new drug application. And in certain situations, urgent permission can be taken even before phase 3 and phase 2 and phase 3 is done for marketing the drug. So phase 4 is generally occurs for the drugs once they are marketed. Now they are available. Now it is prescribed to millions of patients. And out here, our main purpose is that we would like to monitor safety of the patient under real situation. We would like to detect side effects. Normally what happens is, if a side effect is common, maybe let's say there is a side effect that is common, that is seen in 1 in 100 or 1 in 1000 patients, that would be easily seen in phase 1, 2 and 3. But for a side effect that has an incidence of 1 in 10,000 or maybe less than that, it would only be seen after the approval from the FDA after this particular drug is launched in the market. Then only we'll be able to detect these side effects. So this patent, it may take approximately 5 years, and I've already told you the life of the patent is 20 years. So if everything goes well according to the plans, the company has 12 to 14 years of exclusive right of selling that particular drug. And now in the phase 4, every 6 months the company has to report safety data to the investigative agencies, to the governmental federal agencies for the first 2 years, and then yearly for the next 2 years, and so on. Now there are certain situations where uh, the disease is less common, and we have orphan drugs for orphan diseases. These are diseases where a fast track approval can be given because the disease in study is very rare. So basically, when we are talking about an orphan drug, it is basically for drugs which are there for rare diseases. Now, the basic research on this particular drug depends upon the pathophysiology and mechanism of that particular disease, and there are less people interested in uh, going ahead with the manufacturing of this particular pharmaceutical companies manufacturing of this particular drug. So that is why they have a fast track approval. So the cost of drug greatly influences the priority, and this comes under the Orphan Drug Act of 1983, which provides incentives for development in rare diseases where the situation is more less than 1 in less than 2 lakhs. Special assistance and even grant is provided to the scientist. Maybe we can have a session on orphan drugs and how it is used in a different set of situations. And we have 500 biological and drug products at this moment that are registered with FDA as an orphan drug. So how do we go for evaluating a clinical drug study? We go for periodic literature, which is our key source of information. Information about this new indication, major indication, and toxicity and health practitioner should be familiar with the source of such information and evaluate it. So this is the basic concept of drug development process, where we have two set of studies. One is the animal study, the other one is the human studies. Human studies are only conducted after we have data, safe data available from the animal studies, that is acute and subacute toxicity studies, which is followed by uh, the IND being permitted to go for human volunteers, and then followed by phase 1, 2, and 3, which takes around 6 to 8 years or maybe 10 years, following which that particular drug is granted permission by FDA. So with this, I conclude this session, and I believe I would have been able to answer few queries, if not all. And if you have any queries that you would like me to answer, you can inbox me and I would get back to you. Thank you so much for your patience here. Take care and goodbye.